Growing speculation that Meghan Markle went under the knife before her Paris disaster trip.
It doesn't work for you to shoulders back, breasts out, headlights going, head up, and try to look as bitchy as possible. And stride.
Designed to traumatize Prince Harry with that journey through Paris emulating that of his mother.
That is what the kids call a sweaty try-hard. It's obvious. I can see you're trying. I feel uncomfortable. I have kind of secondhand embarrassment for you. If you can't pull it off naturally, please don't try. Please just walk out like a normal person would walk. Otherwise, everything about you, as per usual with this gal, is alienating.
So Angela 11, no, this is not my area of expertise, but you have been looking into this for some time, and you believe it is true that Meghan Markle has gone under the knife.
Oh, yes. I mean, of course she has. She's never actually said I have, but you can see because certain things have changed quite significantly.
Let me tell you what really went down in Paris because, oh honey, it was not the glamorous fairy tale return Meghan Markle wanted everyone to believe. The whole world thought this was going to be her grand comeback, her triumphant "I'm back, darlings" Fashion Week moment that would silence every critic. She arrived at the Balenciaga show, flashing that practiced Hollywood smile, cameras exploding all around her like fireworks. It should have been dazzling, one of those scenes you replay in slow motion with flashing bulbs and couture magic. But inside that glittering room,
of course, I'm no expert on this, but when you look at the before and after images, it starts to become undeniable.
The energy was colder than the Paris rain. One stylist actually whispered, you could feel the air freeze when she walked in. That's how thick the tension was. The sparkle she expected? Gone. The warmth? Non-existent. Every glance that met her was like a blade dipped in ice. No smiles, no hugs, not even a fake "You look amazing." Everyone's eyes just locked on her, sharp.
So they worked on that, and they worked on the side, and all of the freckles which they used, the skin looked flawless because of all her freckles.
Judging, silent. Normally when a Duchess struts into Paris Fashion Week, it's chaos. Paparazzi screaming her name, editors tripping over their heels for selfies, everyone pretending to breathe the same air. But this time, oh no. Meghan glided down that carpet chin high, acting like she ruled Paris itself, yet not a single major figure dared to step forward. It was as if the entire room had been instructed to stay exactly where they were. No one wanted to catch the chill.
Angela, do you buy into the idea that she's doing this now and that the reason that she's bowed out from the spotlight over the past few months is that because, as ever, has been a bit of a disaster. Even she acknowledges that. So she knew she had to come back.
People took their pictures, sure, but it was mechanical, obligatory. The clicks were hollow. The silence, deafening. That uncomfortable skin-crawling kind that tells you something is off. And just beneath that icy calm, whispers started slithering like smoke through the air, fast, vicious, impossible to ignore, because insiders already knew there was more to this story than anyone watching from home could imagine. And honey, that's where things got messy. Backstage, the gossip spread like wildfire. Crew members swapped stories, makeup artists rolled their eyes, and the tension was thick enough to slice. Meghan kept tugging her scarf closer to her face, smiling like nothing was wrong. Classic Hollywood composure, but the people around her, they looked drained, over it.
Yes, one person said she looked as if she was wearing toilet paper. So I think that they were not very impressed by it.
Who wore it better? And one thing that I noticed is that whatever Meghan was wearing, it was her moment to shine.
One makeup artist, pale with exhaustion, muttered something that still haunts that backstage hallway. You can fix foundation, but you can't fix that smell. It sounds brutal, and it was, but that's how the Paris fashion world works. Fast, cold, and merciless. Within minutes, whispers reached the lobby. Nobody cared about Balenciaga's collection anymore. Every conversation had twisted into the same topic, her. Because in Paris, darling, arrogance can be forgiven. Scandal can even be romanticized. But bad hygiene? Never. That's social suicide. And after that show, the chatter only grew louder. Insiders claimed Meghan's appearance wasn't some glorious invite. It was a last-minute favor. Yep. The brand she thought would lift her up, Balenciaga, barely tolerated her presence. The whispers said they gave her one pair of plain black heels. That's it. The rest of her outfit? Borrowed. Nothing custom, nothing gifted, nothing tailored for her. And in fashion, that's not just a detail, it's a dagger. When a designer loves you, they craft gowns to your measurements, they send personal notes, they treat you like walking art. But when they hand you borrowed clothes with the tag still on, it's their silent way of saying, "You're not one of us." Those clothes didn't even fit right. No alterations, no finesse, no sign of care. And that, in the fashion world, screams volumes. Stars wear freebies as badges of honor. It means the brand trusts them to elevate its image. But Meghan, she had to give everything back. Every single piece. Tags still dangling like little reminders. These were never yours. And here's where the story veers from awkward to downright eerie. Because when whispers began circulating that Meghan took a quiet drive through the tunnel, the Pont de l'Alma tunnel, everyone froze. They weren't talking about traffic. They meant that tunnel, the one where Princess Diana's life ended. At first, people brushed it off as coincidence. But then her team insisted she had no idea that was the spot. Really? Come on. Even the most casual royal watcher knows that tragic location. Yet those who truly know Meghan, those who've seen her fascination, her obsession with Diana, couldn't believe that claim for a second. They whispered that she did it deliberately, that she wanted to feel that same echo, to relive Diana's path, to blur the line between admiration and imitation. It was the kind of move that left people stunned, not just by the audacity, but by the psychology behind it. What was really happening inside her head? The whispers about that tunnel spread faster than perfume in a crowded elevator. People said she filmed herself there, hair perfectly styled, eyes soft, almost teary, trying to recreate that haunting image of Diana. Some even claimed she lingered, soaking in the moment like she wanted the world to feel the connection. And that's when the disbelief turned to shock. Those who knew her best, those who'd heard her talk endlessly about Diana's grace and tragedy, knew this wasn't a coincidence. They swore she went there on purpose. It wasn't just eerie, it was unsettling. The idea that someone could choreograph such symbolism, knowing its history, made even her fans uneasy. Because really, how could Meghan, media-trained, meticulous, and obsessed with public perception, not know? People remembered that a close friend once revealed Meghan had watched Diana's funeral over and over again, memorizing the gestures, the tears, the crowd's sobs. She knew every detail, so please, how could she not know about the tunnel? She did know. That's the part that makes it all so haunting. She chose it. And that, darling, is where Paris started turning its back. Yes, one insider said. Someone even said she looked like she was wrapped in toilet paper. The critics weren't holding back. Fashion Week turned into a roast. Another editor sighed. Who wore it better? While bloggers dissected her outfit like vultures circling the scene. Whatever she thought would make her shine, well, it only made her look desperate, because the truth was impossible to ignore. This wasn't homage anymore. It was imitation, and not the flattering kind. When the cameras stopped flashing, the hypocrisy began screaming. Let's not forget, when Meghan first burst into royal life, she made it her mission to paint the press as villains. Cruel, dangerous, obsessed. She swore the media had destroyed Diana, and she and Harry were the next victims. But behind those carefully crafted statements, another reality was brewing, one far less noble, because while she condemned the British tabloids, she was cozying up to CBS, yes, that American network, the same one that once bought and aired those haunting final photos of Princess Diana's crash. The irony? It's almost poetic. She went on about protecting Diana's legacy, shielding herself from the evil press, and then turned around to give exclusive interviews to the very people who turned tragedy into television gold. Those photos, the ones of Diana's last moments, weren't printed by British rags. They were bought, paid for, and aired by CBS. And decades later, who came back to sit in their plush studio seats? Meghan and Harry, hand in hand, selling their story, wrapped in the memory of the very woman whose death had made that network millions. One industry watcher summed it up perfectly. It's not irony. It's hypocrisy in designer heels, Paris noticed. Oh, it always does. The same city that lives for glamour and illusion also recognizes performance when it sees it. From the day she walked away from royal duty, Meghan had been on a mission to reinvent herself. Global humanitarian, feminist CEO, podcast queen, Hollywood power player. But insiders whispered it was all smoke and mirrors. Every speech she gave, scripted, every gesture, rehearsed. The sparkle looked polished on camera, but behind the scenes, assistants described chaos. Meghan peaked in late March, early April, one former staffer leaked. It's been downhill since. Bad content, bad products, bad podcasts. People are just tired. The dreams of empire were collapsing faster than a flimsy Balenciaga hem. Her business ideas, recycled Pinterest boards. Her leadership, confusing and cold. Staff said she demanded perfection but gave no direction. She wanted privacy, yet couldn't stop calling the cameras back every time the spotlight dimmed. It was all performance. Diana's compassion, the Queen's grace, Hollywood's dazzle, all borrowed, none original. And when she stood in Paris under those merciless lights, everyone could finally see it. They remembered what she'd once claimed, that she had never Googled Prince Harry before meeting him. But those close to her said otherwise, that she had studied him, planned their encounter with almost cinematic precision. Every narrative she sold started cracking, and this time, no PR spin could patch it. The Paris Fashion Week appearance, meant to be her radiant rebirth, turned into a cruel reflection. It didn't project power, it revealed pretense. People saw through the act, the smiles, the symbolism, the rehearsed confidence. Reporters started asking the uncomfortable questions. Why hasn't any major designer signed her since the Netflix and Spotify deals went cold? Why did even Balenciaga keep her at arm's length? And where was Harry in all this? Why did he look like a man more lost than loved? The answers whispered through the French air like a winter draft. Soft, cold, cutting. The fairy tale narrative had shattered. The magic was gone. By the time she left Paris, the applause that followed her was polite, almost pitying. Cameras still clicked, but no one smiled behind them. The warmth that once followed her had vanished completely. The same city that once adored Diana's authenticity now recoiled from imitation. Because Paris, beautiful, brutal Paris, never rewards pretense. It exposes it. And that week, it exposed Meghan entirely. The insiders who'd whispered for years were proven right. The elegance, the charm, the calculated vulnerability. It was all a show. Behind the designer gowns and polished sound bites was a woman drained, frustrated, hollow from the weight of pretending. Maybe she truly believed Paris would adore her again. Maybe she thought the city would anoint her as Diana 2.0. But Paris doesn't do sequels. It worships originals. By the end of the week, Meghan wasn't basking in admiration. She was trapped in the harsh glare of truth. The difference between her and Diana had never been just love or luck. It was authenticity. Diana's light came from empathy, from something real. Meghan's came from choreography, carefully planned, endlessly rehearsed, fatally artificial. The stylists, the assistants, the photographers who'd seen it all up close finally whispered the truth. She wasn't giving royalty. She was giving imitation and the tunnel. The same one she used as a symbol of rebirth turned out to be a warning instead. A reminder that Paris doesn't just celebrate icons, it dismantles illusions. When the lights dimmed and the flashes faded, there was no roar of applause, just the heavy silence of realization. She came to Paris to be remembered, and she will be. But not for grace, not for kindness, not for the fairy tale comeback she imagined. She'll be remembered for the night the act ended, and the truth finally took center stage. The Paris crowd didn't boo. They didn't cheer. They simply saw. And in that moment, Meghan Markle wasn't the Duchess, the celebrity, or the humanitarian. She was just another woman standing in the spotlight, stripped of her script with nowhere left to hide. Paris gave her exactly what she wanted, attention. But it wasn't admiration, not even close. The lights flashed, the cameras clicked. For a fleeting instant, she believed she was Diana's reflection. But reflections fade, and this one, it cracked wide open. Because Diana's light came from love, pure, unfiltered, unmanufactured. Meghan's came from mirrors, each one polished by PR. And when those mirrors shattered, there was nothing left but silence. Paris had seen enough, and just like that, her comeback became her meltdown.